All right, joining us today is BKFC Women's Featherweight World Champion, Christine Ferea. Christine, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Listen, before we talk about your latest title defense and the card that you headlined for BKFC, we'd like to go all the way back to the beginning and talk a little bit about what it was that first got you into fighting.
Okay. There's like several things. Younger, I was a little troublemaker and got into some trouble. And when I decided I wanted to change my life, I went to the gym, and I was like, okay, let me get in shape, and I know that's healthy, and that's part of changing your life and all that. So I go in there, and there's like a fight gym in there. So like it's a regular gym, and then it had a fight, it was a Sancho gym and a Muay Thai gym.
Okay.
And they believe they had wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And so I would always see them, and I'm just looking in there, and I have a little chip on my shoulder, thinking I could beat up anybody. Super young, and I was like, I know I could whoop all those girls' asses. I know I could. And I would just walk by, look at them. They would look at me. We mugged each other for months and months and months. And then I finally was like, all right, I got enough money to sign up. Let's do this. And yeah, and I went in there and got my ass whooped. Got my ass handed to me, and I was like hooked. Like when I fought hard, but you could kick and stuff, and they caught my legs, swept me on my back in midair. It was great, and that's something that I needed for myself to be a better person. I feel like any little cocky kid, a little troublemaker doesn't know what they're doing. That's a perfect place to put them.
Was this in California?
Yeah, Northern California.
How long were you at that gym? I know you got interested, you started doing Muay Thai. How long was it that you were there before you had your first Muay Thai bout?
I was pretty rough around the edges. They put me in 3 months.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, I went undefeated in my Muay Thai career, my amateur career. And, well, I only fought one pro.
Yeah, but you're 14-0 total, right?
Right, yeah.
So you start off pretty rough around the edges, but
yeah,
obviously you had some talent going undefeated. Then you hit a point, was in 2017, you decided that you wanted to quit doing amateur fights and turn pro. Was there a lot of thought behind that, or did it just feel like a natural progression for you at the time?
Well, I think I should have went pro a lot sooner. I went pro in 2015.
15, okay.
Yeah, but my MMA debut, I believe, was 2017.
Yeah, with Invicta.
Yeah, Invicta. That was my MMA. My pro Muay Thai was 2015.
Okay.
So I think I should have went pro a lot earlier, and my coach at the time, I guess, I don't know what his deal was. Awesome guy, but we didn't go pro yet, and I kind of branched off and went pro on my own, and took it from there.
Well, so you do the kickboxing, and then you decided to try out mixed martial arts as well, and that was in 2017. You do 3 fights with Invicta, and then in 2018, it seems like you made a pretty interesting decision to me, which was we had this kind of new upstart BKFC promotion going on. They'd only had 2 events prior to you joining at BKFC 3.
Yeah.
Now, what was it that you saw there that made you think, okay, this is what I want to do? Because bare knuckle is, especially at that time, it was still, people were like, oh my God, what's happening? I think it was only in Mississippi still.
Yeah.
What drew you to that?
And okay, so I had my Invicta fight with Karina Rodriguez. I lost that. She edged it out with her hands. I didn't get beat up too bad or nothing, or we kicked each other's ass, but she edged it out with her hands. So I got into a boxing gym. I was like, okay, I need my hands to be better. So I went with Gil Martinez, got in there and found out a whole nother level of fighting, like IQ, footwork, head movement, speed, volume is way different than an MMA or a Muay Thai style. And so I started training boxing. And then I got the call. I got a message from David Feldman. He's like, hey, do you want to fight bare knuckle? I was like, no. Like, I thought it was underground. Like, I was like, I don't do, because I remember when my first Muay Thai coach, Lorenzo, he said, don't ever fight underground, because if you get hurt, then you have to pay all the medical bills on your own. So and that stuck in my head. I was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. I thought it was underground. It wasn't sanctioned and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I saw Beck Rawlings, I was like, oh, this is like sanctioned and real. Like something, not real, but it's something that it's legal, So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I was already practicing my boxing. It's kind of like everything fell in such a crazy order. Like I was already training boxing. Like this was meant to be, like to the fullest. I was in a boxing gym with one of the toughest coaches in the world, with the toughest kids in the world. And I got my first fight. Actually, I was supposed to be on BKFC 2. And they flew me out, and my opponent, one of them backed out, and then they had another opponent for me that she ended up being on suspension. So they had to pull the fight, but they paid me in full. Literally paid me in full. I was like, wow. So
there we go.
It was dope. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
I mean, it sucked I couldn't fight, but at the same time, he paid me in full. And then I got on BKFC 3 and fought Jennifer Tate.
Just talking a bit about that growth and being a part of that early on BKFC, where being in number 3, and then shortly after that, fighting for your first title in your second fight. And then now to see how the sport has grown, being a part of Knuckle Mania too, when you get your title now. Just talk a bit about how the growth of the sport not only is for you as a fighter, but the sport as a whole.
It's awesome to see it grow and succeed, and it's really hard to build something like this, especially it being bare knuckle, just like how MMA started. And so watching what the decisions David Feldman is making, and the moves he's making, and the people he's bringing in, it's taught me a lot about business in the beginning. I was pure 100% fighter. I didn't have any kind of business knowledge or perspective at all. So it's taught me a lot, watching him endure and build, and the whole team, the whole BKFC team. I've seen him come a long way from 2 on up in the organization, and how they're putting together the cards now, and how much more on point they are with directing us. And that stuff is messy. I could just imagine it. And I don't think they have a whole lot of people in the background. They keep a tight-knit circle. So there's a lot of them taking on a lot of workload. And then us as fighters, we're helping build the sport, being good representatives. There a lot of the fighters were, people that maybe gave up on their career, and they got to come back, and we get to prove ourselves and show that we're great fighters, just maybe in a different arena. It's been cool to watch, even though I don't like all the girls in my division. Most of them, 99% of them I like, but even Britain Hart, I'm watching her, improve in her game, and her confidence has grown tremendously, and I think that's what's made her a better fighter. And some of the guys, just Elmore, everybody from the beginning, Luis, watching him do what he's doing with his family, and being able, his mom's in the ring. I love seeing that this last time, him being 2 division world champion. It's beautiful to watch. We've all been given, I feel like another chance to really achieve the levels that we wanted to get to, and I will be satisfied with my career in the end, because I was kind of like where I was trying to go in my career. I tried out for Combates, I tried out for UFC, but they didn't like my image, so they wouldn't let me in. I just got done knocking out Rachel Ostovich, and they let her in. We went at the same tryout, and they let her in, not me. So like stuff like that, like David Feldman gave us a lot of us that weren't given opportunities other places, and now it's shining through, what kind of fighter I am, and what I'm capable of, and the kind of dominance I can carry. So, man, it's been great to be with them since day one. I'm the first champion ever. I'll be in history. It's great. I'm building my legacy. I'm building my dreams. Everything I work for. I mean, on all the sacrifice is paying off, and it's amazing.
You mentioned dominance a moment ago, and that makes me think of your last performance there, BKFC 28 at Rio Rancho. Just on August 27th, this past few weeks ago, you fought at the time the number one ranked Taylor Starling. I mean, there was a lot of talk from her prior to that fight. There was a lot of, verbal build-up there.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that was one of the most dominant just fight performances, not just BKFC, but just fight performances, period, that either one of us have seen in a long time. I mean, no offense to Taylor, but that was the most shell-shocked I have seen a fighter look after getting beat like that, maybe ever. I mean,
she wanted out immediately.
Sometimes it takes a bit of an ass kicking to really learn if you want to be a fighter or not. And I know she didn't have a whole lot of experience outside of bare knuckle and prior to that, So, but tell us how you felt about not only that being such a dominant victory in that fight, but also, headlining the card, being there in Rio Rancho, being the focus of it, after so much that you've gone through in your fight career and getting here. I mean, you're laying people to waste. You're 6-1. How is it all feeling?
It's feeling great. I have the mixed feelings about how the fight went. Of course, you want it to end in a way where you're not hurt, nothing happens to you, you come out unscathed. But at the same time, I wanted to put on a show for, the fans, and us to be able to, and a little bit longer for them. But like I said, it's a catch-22. Like I'm happy, but I'm disappointed for the fans. I love that I got the performance I got. I think that it will show a different. It might bring in other girls. Like, hey, she thinks she's badass. She's putting girls down like that. I know I could take her. So I think for a second, I was thinking, okay, maybe that hurt me because maybe not. I'm not going to get fights. But at the same time, I think people are going to be like, okay, Taylor wasn't as experienced. She hasn't had, that level of competition. But at the same time, Taylor, she's a tough girl. I watched her glory fights and her other fights, and she could take a beating. That's why I didn't take her lightly. She was thinking, oh, you're taking me lightly. You're overlooking me. I'm like, I don't overlook anybody. I've made that mistake in my career already. I already know better than that. Yeah, especially in bare knuckle. In bare knuckle, you can get caught with anything. So I trained my ass off. And then I wanted to make sure with my title defense that I'm making a statement that I'm not letting anyone take what I worked all these years for. I've been shelved and pushed under the rug my whole career. And now that I have the belt, I know once I lose this belt, I'm not getting another shot. I'm not. I know that. So every fight for me, I'm not here. Oh, I'm the champ. I'm the champ. I'm in my mind, I'm still a contender. In my mind, I'm still fighting for that position.
Hell yeah.
Like, I'm not going to let myself sit and be like, oh, I made it. I did it. I already know it's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher. They're going to try and find someone to get me out of there. You know?
That's the thing about being champ and why it's so hard to hang on to for so long, because you're always fighting the top person, Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, now you've taken out, if you look at the current rankings in BKFC, we've got, Britton Hart, even though she's fighting for the strawweight title next weekend, she's still ranked number 1. You've already beaten her twice now. Taylor Starling, you just destroyed. Now, number 3 is Jenny Savage, who's also fighting September 10th against Veronica Dmitrieva. Do you think with a victory there that Jenny is going to be the number 1 contender in your next bout?
No, she's 115er.
Is she?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my mistake. She
fought at 125.
At 25, okay.
Okay. Makes sense.
Well, she did fight at 125, but that's not her weight class.
Okay. Who do you see?
She dropped down to 115.
I gotcha. Who do you see as your next defense in the division then? Do you have your eyes set on anybody, or you're kind of waiting for someone to assert themselves?
I'm waiting. I kind of want like a bigger name. I want a UFC girl. I want one of those girls to come over, and I know they're super experienced. They've been on the big stage. They know how to handle pressure. They know how to handle tough opponents. So I feel like that would be a great fight for me, and it would be super competitive.
Now, I know Pearl Gonzalez and Rachel Ostovich, who you already do have a victory over, are both have had BKFC fights, but we haven't heard anything about anything upcoming for either of those two fighters.
Yeah, I don't know. I want some or a boxer with a name,
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't mind fighting Amanda Serrano.
That
I'll
would
watch
be
that
awesome.
for sure. Absolutely.
Oh man, that would be amazing. And you know what? I want to fight Amanda Serrano in bare knuckle and then fight her in boxing. So we both go to each other's world, and I mean, just let it ride.
Yeah.
If I lose the boxing, I'm not losing the bare knuckle.
Oh, absolutely.
Sounds great. Well, let's. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions about yourself. For our fans to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So your nickname is the Misfit, and I feel like that represents more than just a nickname for you. Can you talk a bit about what that represents for you inside and outside of the cage, and just how you got that name?
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I stand out. I have short hair. I have tattoos on my head. I'm just a misfit. Grew up, just like doing whatever I wanted pretty much. I mean, I did my school stuff and I graduated and all that, but I was pretty rowdy. And the guys that I hung around with my brother and a lot of guys, and they liked the misfits, and they were little troublemakers, always fighting. We were always fighting and drinking 40s and just doing dumb shit. So I just felt like I've been a misfit my whole life, and the guys I hung out with and my whole little crew and the way I am, the way I carry myself is just not a typical female. So that's why I feel like misfits, and I like to stand up for the misfits. When you come from the bottom, you can get to the top if you work hard enough, no matter what. And if people are pushing you out, the cool people are pushing you out, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't. If you just keep trying and doing your best every single day relentlessly, you're gonna get to the top. You're gonna have to endure, because of course the misfits, we get stomped on a little bit sometimes, but it's possible to get what you want if you work hard enough.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. It's great to hear, and it's a great message for everyone out there as well. So also, you did talk a little bit earlier about some of the people that you watch in the BKFC, but who are some people you look up to and maybe are people that have inspired you throughout your career, who you feel like have helped you get to the spot you are now?
Well, I mean, there's so many people that have inspired me and helped me get to where I'm at, hundreds of people that have helped me, from sponsors to family to friends to coaches. I studied the four kings. That's Leonard, Hagler,
Oh, yeah.
Duran, and Sugar Ray. I study the hell out of them. Mike Tyson, Bukau, Chris Cyborg is where I really saw that women are straight up beasts, and you can reach a dominance like that. That's insane.
Yeah.
So those are people I really looked to, was like Tyson and Cyborg, just really dominate. I loved Anderson Silva. There's so many, Canelo, Mayweather. I study a lot for the defense in BK. Just so many people there's so many people that I inspire me. The kids in boxing, just like 13-year-olds. First time I ever went into a boxing gym, a 13-year-old beat the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what? I'm like, what? He's like, he looks at me, he's like, how much you weigh? I was like, da-da-da. He goes, okay, you'll be with my 13-year-olds. And I'm like, the disrespect. I went in there and I had to fight for my life. So, I mean, those kids inspire me. The dedication from these young athletes. I'm like, wow. I didn't have that focus. I was a little screw up. So I found it later, 22, but these kids are 13, 8 years old, 9 years old, with beautiful technique. So I just have a lot of inspiration from everything around me. I put myself around people that are better than me, people that are great people, you know, to make myself better and improve myself every day. So it's every day I'm around people that inspire me.
Well, that's awesome as well. Well, we all know you're a champion inside of the ring, but what's something that you maybe would like your fans to know that are some of your favorite things to do outside of fighting?
Oh man, I am obsessed with what I do. That's all I do. I like doing. Honestly, it really is just improving myself to be the best. I don't do much, and I'm trying to work on that a little bit to do more stuff outside of what I'm doing. I just feel like any of my energy that goes outside of my sport right now is wasted energy. You know, if I do something, I go see my family, you know, because I never am with them. So that's my free time, you know. But anything else, I'm in the gym and I'm studying fights. I don't watch TV. I just study, because there's only a small window, you know, window of opportunity for me, and I want to be the best. And I feel like I've listened to a lot of motivational stuff, and they say just bury yourself in it, and I've been doing it for years, so I don't know how to change that yet.
Well, that's really great to hear.
Sorry.
No,
that's what makes you champion.
I think there's a good message there because, you know, as fans, people just see the end product. You know, we see you come on, you do the 5 2-minute rounds, you're victorious, and we don't see the dedication that it takes to succeed in that 10-minute time frame that we all see on television. And it takes that kind of dedication where you're right, where I don't fucking watch TV. I don't fucking go do this, I don't do that. I fucking fight. I study fights. I eat, sleep, and breathe fights.
Straight up. Yeah.
And that's what it takes to be champ.
It does. And there's so many other fighters that are out doing this, doing that. They're in the clubs, they're doing all this shit. And I'm like, damn, I know I should be doing that for my marketing or whatever, you know, or for the draw and all that. But I can't waste my time like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody does it their own way. You know what I'm saying? But I just know that going out drinking and doing all that stuff is just going to take away from my muscles and my energy, and I can't do it. I try. Like the other day we went to the lake for Labor Day, and my girl, she's like, oh, I'll have a couple beers. I was like, cool. I went and bought her the beer, and then I don't really drink it, and I was like everybody's around us having fun drinking, and I was like, she must like hate me because I'm just like normal sober me, not like dancing around and shit. And I was like, okay, I'll go have a beer for her so we can feel normal for a second, right? I went and got a beer. We get the water. I take a little sip, and I just like, like I just feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like, dude, what am I gonna feel like after this? Like, if I try to run tomorrow and I know I had this beer, you know, it's in my head, and it's when my career's over, I feel like I'll be able to have more, like have a beer here and there or something like that, and without guilt, you know, without feeling some type of way about it. But yeah, it's pretty strict for me.
Well, that's good. I think that's the best way to be, and obviously the results speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on our show today. We really enjoy it, and I know that our listeners would like to know where they can find you on the internet, where they can, you know, your Instagram, YouTube, anything that you have. Please let them know.
Okay. All my social media is at Christine Ferea. You can find me, ChristineFerea. Got to shout out my sponsors, Jason Ferguson. That's my guy. He's my attorney. He's the best in the world. Barber Orthopedic. Yeah, and I want to also shout out my sponsor, Condemn Labs.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, guys.